And today, well, we're going to have a couple of guests join us here today. As a matter of fact, we're going to introduce our first guest. We love him. He's Uncle Doug from Uncle Doug's Barbershop here in Doug Cassera. Good morning, my friend. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your busy time. I wanted to have you come back as we promoted you and your missions trip a couple weeks ago, and blessings were abundant.
Oh, my.
It seemed like during what was very much a trying week for you guys in El Salvador.
First time we ever got to experience the tail end of a hurricane.
No kidding.
Oh, I tell you what. We got there on Monday. We left, our flight left Indianapolis about 10 minutes to 7. And so we finally get down to El Salvador about 2:30 their time, and it's raining. And it rains Monday, and it rains Tuesday, and it rains Wednesday, and it rains Thursday, and it rains Friday morning, and it finally quit.
Just as you guys were leaving, huh? Or when did you guys leave?
We left Monday. Yeah.
Monday? Okay.
But it was just nuts. I've never experienced that kind of rain. I've seen it rain a lot in the evenings because usually they have showers blowing off the ocean towards night. But I've never seen it rain like that all day, and it just poured and poured and poured. And we got to see the evidence Saturday of some landslides that had happened down there, and you know they had it all cleaned up by the time we got there.
Wow!
But it was just it was just a different week, and we had to learn patience. I'll tell you.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because we're wanting to get out and do something, you know.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
And to kind of set the stage a little bit, how your trip became as incredible as it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, we both attend Plymouth Wesleyan, and boy, the outpouring of support.
Oh my goodness.
You know, you always think you're going to be able to take a certain amount of money that you've had based on years past, and so you kind of set your goal mark there. Well, you surpassed that by a good almost $5,000.
Leaps and bounds.
You know?
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about the donations that came in for the trip for you guys, and eventually how you were able to use them.
Well, it was funny. Last year, my Virginia friends gave us this idea, and we steal ideas from each other because I have a dear friend in Virginia, Southern Virginia, that she takes a team down every year.
Oh, okay.
And so I've been down there with them a few times, and so it's been trading stuff back and forth, you know, on how we do stuff and what we do. And she gave me an idea about doing groceries for the people. And we go down there with an idea of what we want to do, but Pastor Rene, he says, this is what I want. And
Pastor Rene is the one in El Salvador.
He's the one that's in charge down there. And we said, you know what? We have to do what he wants us to, not what we want to do.
Right.
So last year we did the grocery thing for the first time. We did $25 bag of groceries. And we spent enough to do 150 families.
Wow!
So you know, inflation has hit everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't matter where you're at. And so we, they said she let me know about 3 weeks ahead of time because they were down there like the last week of May. And I said, she said, to let you know, she said, that same $25 bag of groceries this year is going to cost you $35. And I said, oh, boy. So I talked to Pastor Chris, and I said, well, we just need to let the people know that, you know, as they're donating. And so I was really shocked. The first week we brought in, I don't know, $2,000, $2,500, something like that.
Sure.
The second week, we figured $5,200 to do the same thing we did last year. The second week into this, we're at $5,700.
Nice.
And I'm sitting in the church office, and the office girls are there, and Pastor Chris is there, and I'm pretty emotional about this. I love El Salvador. You know, just everything that's in me is missions, and I said, I'm sorry, my faith was not that big. I was just shocked. The third weekend, we raised another $2,400. We had a couple other checks come in. We wound up raising a total of $9,500.
Awesome.
So awesome. I wired a bunch of that down. That was crazy too.
I heard there's a lengthy process.
Oh my gosh! Well,
they want to know your name's your second born.
Yeah, who you're sending it to and everything
who your
else.
grandkids are.
Yeah, well, and the crazy thing is about it, it was totally this. I had no idea what God was up to this time. No idea. Of course, you never know. But usually, the first day I try to wire some money, it goes through. The second day, it fights me. The system fights me just because. This time, I wired $4,000 one day, and I wired $4,000 the next day. It just went through just like a piece of cake.
How about that?
And I thought, okay, something's going on here. This is not normal here. And Uncle Doug's not used to this not being normal, so it went through. But the last night we were there, it was so cool because we gift the three main pastoral families. We gift them with some financial gifts, and so everybody in the team collects, puts in an envelope and what they want to give to them. And so I started with the youngest family there, and then we moved up a notch, and then I called Pastor Rene up. I said, "Okay, Pastor, this is your gift for your family," and I said, "Here is another $4,500 for you to take out in the villages to buy groceries for your people out in the villages." And the man lost it. He totally lost it. And I thought, and he was so shocked at how our congregation thought enough of their people down there to do this for them. I thought, absolutely. My goodness gracious.
What a moment.
It was so cool. It was so cool. So.
You mentioned, you guys get there and you're in the middle of a monsoon.
Oh.
And so what would have been typical of that week if you didn't have Mother Nature interrupting?
Well, we got there on Monday afternoon, and the plan was I had the girls in the church office. We take vitamins for men, for kids, for women. We take aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol. There's a fancy name for Tylenol, but I call it Tylenol. You know what it is.
Right.
But I get these little 4x4 square bags. You can get them in a big box at 200 of them. So I had the girls in the office print off labels in Spanish what this was. And so I got the team together before we went, and we put all those labels on those bags. Well, had I known we were going to the middle of monsoon season, I'd have waited until we got down there. So we needed something to do. So we sat around the first afternoon because we think we're going to do clinic the next day, which normal schedule we would have. So we're stuffing vitamins and everything in these little bags at 20 in a bag. And then we get a call from Pastor Rene. He says, "Well, the clinic's off tomorrow.
No.
We'll take you guys out. We'll do some little running around or something like that. But we can't even get into the churches that we want to do this at because the water's a foot deep in them from all the rains." Wow. And it's just kind of like, and they didn't want, it had been raining a few days before we got there. So they didn't want to take a chance on taking us out in the country and having a mudslide.
Right.
And winding up putting up somebody in a hospital. So we just kind of sat around the hotel and, we went out and did some stuff, here and there. But we had to wait until the rain quit, and then finally when the rain quit Friday, then we were able to start doing some stuff. So, but
Friday you showed me pictures before we came on the air. I mean, there were literally streets that were almost completely enveloped in water. Yeah,
it was crazy. I've never seen it that way. I've never seen it that way, and all my trips down there. And it was just amazing to watch that. The water's amazing.
And you got where were you guys staying? And what is it comparable to? A town or like a Plymouth?
Well,
or what?
We stay in the capital city of San Salvador.
Okay,
and it's about 4.5 million.
Oh, okay.
It's a big city, and there's no expressways. So I mean, everybody's driving around these. The widest street you have is like 3 lanes each direction.
Wow.
And, they do have a couple new kind of like bypass things around the edges of the city, but they don't know what an expressway is there. And it's just kind of, but everybody's driving around at 35, 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
And, we stay in a hotel that it's called the Hotel Alamo. I've never bothered to ask how it got that name. It's clean. You can say that. Its heyday was back in the 70s or 80s.
Wow.
But it's an open, it's roofed, but the lobby part is open air. And the other night, we were sitting there after the rain quit, and there were a couple bats flew through, and one flew through the hallway, and Taylor Tharp, Ted's daughter. She goes, "Did you see the bat?" And I go, "Nope, I missed that." So she was all excited to see the bat again, and so
Yeah, and normally you guys take care of not remodeling, but I think repairing homes and normally when you have to do that.
We've done a little bit of that, but Pastor Rainey really doesn't want us doing construction down there. He wants us. We've done clothing. We've taken multitudes of clothes down there. I have still a potload of stuff down in my basement that I should bring you down there sometime and show you. But I have got shelves that my boys have built for me, and I've got tubs full of clothes from infant girls all the way up to adult women, and infant boys clear up to adult men. And I'm working on getting that cleaned out because eventually I know it's going to kill me when it happens, but I'm going to reach a point where I won't be able to go.
Right.
I just won't physically be able to do it. And so we're trying to get that stuff down there. And we do clothing. We've done shoes before. We've taken like multitudes of shoes down there and given people shoes. And it's unbelievable. People will wait 2 hours in a line sitting on plastic chairs waiting on 3 pieces of clothing. And then they go to the end of the line to see if there's any left over.
Wow.
But yeah, Americans wouldn't do that. No heart, no way at all.
Well, if they can't buy it off the internet, they're not going to do it.
Oh yeah,
the way it is here.
But we've done multitudes of things. The grocery thing though, in the medical clinic, like last year we did over 400 people in 2 days of medical clinics, and that was just an incredible blessing because a lot of times those people don't see a doctor unless we show up. And we don't take anybody medical with us. We hire local people down there, and they have socialized medicine down there, but it really sucks. I mean, it's bad. One of our pastor's wives is waiting on a pacemaker, and she's been waiting for months, and we don't know when she's going to get it. We have no idea. We're just waiting on when the hospital says, "Okay, now it's time." But I thought, man, that's sad. Here you could get that done like next week.
And for our listeners and viewers on Max 98.3 stream ! And it's on our new YouTube channel. And as soon as we're done with our interview here with Doug, we'll transfer it over to our Facebook page at Max 98.3, so you can catch it in entirety for just tuning in. How many years have you been going down there?
This was my 13th trip.
You've seen changes in that country.
Oh, it's incredible.
Talk about the progression. How is the progression?
They've got a new president, and I'd have to Google it to tell you his name.
Yeah, sure.
And I can't pronounce it anyway. So. But he's a younger guy. The problem they've had with past administrations down there is they've had a horrible gang problem down there with Barrios 18 and MS 13. These gangs are absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. They will just take a machete to you just as soon as look at you. But the new president down there, rather than negotiate with the gangs, he says, He says, I'm declaring war on the gangs. And at first, everybody kind of raised their eyebrows. Well, what does this mean? Well, they started kicking doors down and everything else and suspected drug people and all this stuff and gang people. He's got 76,000 of them locked up in jail.
Wow.
And you can Google this and YouTube it, and you can see El Salvador prisons. And, I mean, he's got them all dressed in white shorts, no shirts, and got their hands shackled behind their backs. And he's got those guys just towing the line in prison. It is incredible. But we were in downtown San Salvador on the Friday night we were there, 10 o'clock at night. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have dreamed of doing that. I would not have dreamed of that.
Wow.
I felt as safe there as I did in downtown Plymouth at 10 o'clock at night.
How about that?
It was incredible. What a difference. We were in a library. They have a library downtown that's open 24 hours a day. The thing's lit up like 4th of July. I mean, it's got lights all the way around this thing. It is so cool to see. We went in there, and I was knocked over. I mean, the main floor has got a couple little playground areas for kids, small little stuff for them to climb on, and the parents can sit there with their kids. And here it is, 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and you have parents in there who are reading to their kids. There's different levels of this thing. There's an area up where you go upstairs, and there's a video game area where you can go in and play for like a half hour, and then that's for the younger kids. And then they have another floor. The next floor up is for the older kids, and they limit it to a half hour, and then somebody else gets to go in and do their thing. But they had some Star Wars an area there. They had all kinds of areas where you could check out books and stuff like that. I mean, it was the neatest thing. Used to be downtown San Salvador, you couldn't walk the sidewalks because of all the street vendors on there. He's cleaned that all up. Okay, if you're a street vendor there now, you go in this one area, and that's the only place you're allowed. And so there were people out around the Capitol building and everything. We were there that were hawking stuff, just walking around selling stuff that they could carry.
Right.
But little toys and stuff like that, and little El Salvador souvenir things, stuff like that. And I bought a couple little things, but it was just so neat to see that the whole thing was lit up, like. You've been to downtown Argos at night now, the way it's all lit up.
Yeah.
Well, this is like 25 times that.
Really?
I mean, it's just all brightened up and everything and all lit up. They have a park there, has some fountains in it. They had transplanted some trees in the last few weeks before we got there and planted them in there. And it was just so cool to see that, that the transition.
Yeah.
And I felt so completely safe. It was unbelievable.
How about that? Now, you do this annually, okay? You guys go down there, and it's a missions trip, and so you're there to do God's work, and and whatever that is with Pastor down there. Your fundraising actually begins kind of right now for next year.
Pretty close.
So, if someone who's after them watching this or just hearing this right now are compelled to be part of this or help out, how does that work for you guys?
They can send a check, or we always take cash. But if you write a check, you can you take that off your taxes. But you just make it out to Plymouth Wesleyan Missions and drop it off at the church or mail it to the church, and it'll go in our mission fund. And you could write trips on there, mission trips or something like that. We have somebody in a congregation that pretty much pays my whole way. He has a heart for missions, and he can't go. His schedule does not allow him to go. He's just so busy. But he pays an extra amount every week, and with me working the fish fry that we do on Good Friday, that takes care of my trip. So I kick in some extra money to help somebody else go. And so it's just incredible.
How many went with you down there this year?
We had 7 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we had 7, and I had 2 newbies, and I couldn't have been prouder. I mean, they were just a great couple. Brandon and Brittany Kelly live here in town, South Bend of town here, and they were newbies, and they just jumped in, and they acted like they'd been there 5 times.
Wow.
I mean, it was just incredible to see that. And so Ted Brown and his daughter went. Taylor, our friend Andrea Hager from West Virginia went. She's our West Virginia part of the trip. She's gone with us 4 times. And so, it was cool to have her back down there again. And Kelly Erickson was supposed to go, but her dad had been suffering with cancer, and she just said, what, I just need to stay here and help take care of Dad. And I told her, I said, I'm going to miss you terribly, because she's my right arm. She is absolutely my right arm, and I'm thinking more lately I'm her right arm, because Kelly's just amazing. But so I said, you just stay home and you take care of her dad. El Salvador will be there next year. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
And so, we'll look forward to you going again next year. So, I knew she was there in spirit, but,
Well, a lot of good things are happening over at PWC, to say the least. And this is your missions trip to El Salvador has become a headliner for all the wonderful work that you guys have done for everybody where you guys go to. It's a new story every year.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about it.
Some of the stories.
I love listening to you talk about all the success stories that are happening, and two new people today that you mentioned. Getting the Kellys getting a chance to go down for the experience, and it also humbles us.
Oh yeah, you betcha.
It humbles us here in this. We're a great country. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
but. Sometimes we need to see what's happening outside of our box
Absolutely.
to really appreciate how wonderful of a country
Yeah.
since we are an Independence Day week here, we need to be appreciating
Absolutely.
everything with that.
We give more stuff away than the rest of the world. I mean, it's just pretty crazy. But I will tell you a story that happened a few years ago. It's just a cute story. I was sitting under the edge of a tent. We were out in one of the villages, and I was sitting there with Shelly Marceliano,
Yeah.
and my adopted daughter Diana Weiss. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there, we're sweating our socks off. I mean, it is hot. We're sweating our socks off, and I said, Lord, I said, it'd be kind of nice to get a little breeze right now. And within about 5 minutes, the tops of the trees started to move. And we looked at each other like, holy cow. I mean, God even cares about little stuff like that. You know?
Sure does.
It was just kind of like, whoa, we're shocked. We were just shocked. But, it's just
Little things.
little things like that. And I tell people all the time, how does a schmuck like me get to do this kind of stuff? We got a lot more talented people in this town than me. Let me tell you. But it's just kind of like, the first time I went, I literally came home and cried for a week. I was a mess. But these people just kind of crawled into my heart, and it's been ever since.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
stuck.
you're like on their calendar.
I'm stuck now.
Yeah, which is great, and that just shows the servants' hearts that are out there, and
I
especially
just
with
love
you
it.
guys. I'm very proud of you guys.
Yeah,
I can say that
it's a
being
great
part of the
thing. I
church
just
and-
love it. It's gonna kill me when I can't go,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna go as long as I can still crawl.
Yeah. And we're all better for it. To say
I
the
tell
least.
ya.
So, hey, thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. I know you're busy. Your coworker at the barber shop is down, so you actually got to work today.
I got to work today. Yeah, usually I don't work Wednesdays, but I'm going to go in today because Sean's sick. So
Yeah.
pray for Sean.
There you
He's
go.
just he's going through it right now. So
You still remember how to use the clippers?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've been told it's been a while since you actually worked it, so just throwing that out there. You know how the rumor mill is, Uncle Doug.
I know.
Well, we love you, buddy, and
All right,
thank
thank
you,
you.
For coming in and talking about this. And we hope it kind of makes people want to appreciate where they're at in their life and in
absolutely.
this country, and even more so, maybe consider an opportunity to join you down there in the missions trip. And it's pretty special.
Well, thanks for letting me share on the air. So
You betcha, buddy.
Yeah.
That's Uncle Doug Cassera, joining us here on the Marshall County Today. It's the talk show aimed at informing you about stories, people, and businesses around your neighborhood. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Matt Overmeyer of Swan Lake. Tonight's a big night, and it's a big night of fun with fireworks. And I am looking forward to it. So when we come back, we'll talk about what's happened at Swan Lake tonight, what's going to be happening. So don't go away. That is next.